Hello, my name is Mom, and welcome to Warframe. Warframe is a game where you become a space ninja and equip all sorts of Warframes, which are different battle suits for you to go around and wreak havoc across the universe, or bring order to the universe, whichever you feel. A lot of people have asked me if I could make a little bit of a starter guide to kind of help people understand how the game works, and how they can get into it and not feel so overwhelmed by the complexities of the game. I definitely can see how it is complex, because as I got into the game, it was very complex for myself as well, and I had to rely on other people to tell me what to do. In today's video, I am going to help go through a couple of points that I feel like are very important for new players to understand when they get into the game. I'm going to be going through how the story works and where it will take you, the map and all of the nodes that you should focus on, mods, which are essential to your weapons, your Warframe, how the shop works and what you should and should not buy with the premium currency, weapons and how important they are, and other Warframes and exactly how you can get them and where you can find them. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to go ahead and leave it a like and sub to the video. I deeply appreciate it. And if you already know everything there is to know about Warframe, consider sharing this video with someone that may not know what to do, so that they can learn and enjoy Warframe just as much as you do. I will go ahead and leave chapters down in the description so that you know exactly where you want to jump if you need help or refresher for the topics in this video. For the purposes of today's video, and to make it feel a little bit more understandable for new players, I am going to be using one of the free starter frames that you get at the beginning of the game, which is Excalibur. A really short bit about Excalibur. In my opinion, he is the easiest one for people to understand. The other two frames that you can get, Loki and Meg, are a little bit of a more complex setup, but for people that are just jumping into the game, Excalibur is a very easy one to step into. And if you haven't actually started and chosen your first frame, I would recommend Excalibur as your starting frame for a couple of different reasons. Number one, most of his moves here are all based on damage, and you don't actually have to worry about planning out your attacks. Excuse me. And for a new player that is just learning the intricacies of the game, you're probably going to be focused more on doing big numbers of damage and not what else of the all of the intricacies of the other characters can do. And now this is to say that they are good characters, but Excalibur is the easiest to explain and understand, in my opinion, for brand new players. As you are a brand new player, you will probably also get something like the Bratton, although you're probably going to have something called the Bratton Mark I, which is a weaker version of the Bratton, and I will talk a little bit more about that in the future. But just for the purposes of this video, I will be using the base version of Excalibur, and I'm actually going to make sure... Do you have mods on? Yeah, I'm going to remove all of these so that I can show off just how he works with nothing equipped. The first thing I really wanted to talk about that will be useful for new players is the story. The story in the game follows a pretty clear progression, and it will take you through most of the star chart, which we'll talk about in just a moment. When you start the game, it does auto-put you through a tutorial that it gives you the story for the main progression of the game. I'm not going to talk about the story because, for the most part, it is a very good story, and I think that people should be experiencing it on its own. In fact, I'm not even going to show any gameplay for the story because I think that you should be experiencing it on your own. The tutorial that you go through is pretty easy, and it will teach you all of the basics of the game that you need to learn in order to play. It'll teach you how to jump, how to bullet jump, which is a very important aspect of being a space ninja, how to equip and how to use weapons, and how to do basic functions such as protecting things and waiting for timers to go down. Once you're done with that first quest, it is going to walk you through some more basic stuff, such as modding and slotting weapons, but in my personal opinion, Digital Extremes kind of falls short in terms of explaining things such as mods, or where you can buy things such as weapons. We'll explain that in just a moment, but I would like to talk about more quests here. So this is the Codex. You gain access to this after you complete the first quest. Now I have all but like 2 quests completed here, but we're going to go... We're just going to stick to quests. Track by story here. So these are all story quests here. I'm actually not going to scroll down because some of them are very big story spoilers, but these are the quests here that you're going to go through. The Awakening is the first quest. That is literally the first mission, maybe a couple things afterwards. And then Vor's Prize is one that you will be encountering afterwards. You should be following these quests. All of these quests here, very important for getting through the main progression of the story and going throughout the star chart. My personal opinion, If you want to stay on track with the story, because there's a lot of side quests that can take you away from the main story, if you would like to stay on track, filter quests by story. Don't just go by all, because there's a lot of side quests that do a lot of good things, but you want to filter it by story. Because if you filter it by story, it will just give you quests that are important for the story. Like, so after you're done with War's Prize, you should get the quest Once Awake. And you also should get the quest The Archwing. Both of these are very important. You're going to need the Archwing for later stuff, and you're going to have to complete it for later stuff as well, so make sure you get it done. And again, you have a lot more big quests that you're going to scroll through here. A lot of these are very simple and straightforward, except for this one. I may make my own video just on the new Strange because of how complex it kind of is, but we're not going to worry about that today. But to kind of round up, do story missions. And the reason why you'll do story missions, I'll show you right now with the star chart. So this is the main map here. This is where all of the story kind of will take place. and may change with the new update, but for the most part, this is where all of the story in the game takes place. You do start on Earth. I believe the E Prime is the first node that you will actually get access to. And for the most part, the story is going to lead you in a pretty linear progression. I apologize, there are planes flying outside. I don't know why. We're not close to the airport at all. So you're going to be starting on Earth here, and it will take you through all of the nodes, and you're actually going to go through the progression of going from Earth, and then you're going to go to Venus, Mercury, and then it kind of goes in a circle. And you can kind of see the circle it goes in. As you hover over the map, it'll tell you connecting points, it'll show you the connecting points where you can go to from these connecting points, so on and so forth. These connecting points, are here and here. But before you actually get access to these connecting points, you need to go through these things called junctions. Now, junctions, in my part, are the second most important thing that you need to pay attention to in terms of completing the game. I put story above that because story literally tells you where to go, and the junctions tell you how to get there, basically. The story will lead you kind of from Earth down to Mercury and then around the map here. But in order to get to Venus, which is how you get to Mercury, you actually have to complete something called this junction. So the junctions will have a set amount of things that you need to complete in order to get through them. For this one, it says to complete War's Prize, which is something you should already be completing if you are on the Earth here. Collect 20 mods. Those are something that is just going to drop throughout the mission. They have like a 1% drop chance to drop from every single enemy. So as you're just completing the levels, you are going to get that. And in fact, I will be surprised if you don't have 20 mods by the time you get from here all the way down to here. You might not. Some people aren't lucky. But if you don't, then just complete other levels. Like, you can do all of these levels here except for a couple. There's a couple that you can't do, like this one right here, until you get your Archwing. But you should be able to do all of these levels here, including these open worlds, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. And you should be able to go through them. And so by the time you get to Venus, you should be able to have 20 mods. It says... Oh, hold on a moment. I'll do that later. The third one is apply for mods. So we're going to talk about mods here in the second section here. But the mods, very important, and it says that you need to apply them. And again, if you've got 20 mods or so, you should have a few mods that you can put on your Warframe/weapon. Hopefully you have at least 4 to put on one or the other. And I will explain how you put those on in just a moment. And then it says upgrade any mod to rank 2 or higher through the fusion process. Alright, so we're going to talk about mods here in just a second, but the junctions here, again, to kind of go around, they tell you what you're supposed to do, and their job is to tell you how you're supposed to get to the next area. After you complete all these things, you can actually enter the junction. And I'm not going to enter the junction because I've already completed it. But basically, whenever you enter a junction, you are going to be put between a one-on-one fight with a Warframe. It is an NPC, it's not an actual person, but you're going to be put on a one-on-one fight with another Warframe that is in the game. And your goal is to defeat them in order to move on. And after you defeat them, you get access to the next planet. And thankfully, you don't have to fight somebody else at the other end of another junction. But basically, that's how you get through the world. And once you get to this one, you keep going to get to the Mercury junction. And then once you get to Mercury, you do the stuff here. And after you complete the quest here, you can go back to here. And you can, you know, that's just how the beginning of the game works. You just go through the junctions to get access to the other planet. The junctions tell you what you need to have. They do get more and more complex until you hit the last junction. And I'm not going to tell you where the last junction is. But as you progress, you get more and more and more complex things. Excuse me. I think one of them was to survive for like at least 15 or so minutes on a specific mission. And they just get more complex. But they are very good tools to pay attention to in order to progress through the game. So if you're ever lost and you don't know what you're doing, keep these two things in mind. Number one, pay attention to the story missions. And if you don't have a story mission, pay attention to the current junction that you're trying to unlock, because the current junction will tell you what you need to do in order to move along throughout all of the planets and get to the final planet. And well, once you do that, you can kind of do whatever you want. But that's a topic for another video. So let's move on to mods now so that I can simplify them and make them easier to understand for people. All right, most people, if you've played a couple of minutes of Warframe, should know what this is. This is the area where you can exchange your Warframe, your weapons, and customize your Warframe and weapons and all of the other important stuff. There's a lot of other things that could go into it, but I'm not going to get into those as it's too complex for this video. Really quickly, you can equip different Warframes. I have a lot of Warframes there. Don't get too confused by them. You'll get your own later. You have the upgrade option here, which allows you to apply mods to your Warframe. I have a lot of mods here. A lot of them are not going to make sense right now, and I'm not going to explain really how the mods work. I actually have a separate video for that you should watch if you want in-depth information on mods in the description. But to go really quickly here, to explain how you get through that first objective with equipping mods, the way that mods work here is they've got different costs, and you can slot them in here. You have your capacity here. This is how much you can hold. You can up that capacity, and I talk about that in videos. But to really quickly go through here, your capacity is dependent on how high your Warframe is. 30 is the max that you can have when you are a max rank. I believe when you are a base rank, it is 15. You can also raise this by slotting an Orokin Reactor. Orokin Reactors will double your mod capacity permanently, and you only need to slot it once. It does cost an Orokin Reactor, which you can earn throughout the game occasionally, or if you've got the money for it, you can buy it for platinum. Costs 20 platinum, and platinum is the premium currency. My personal opinion, if you are starting out in the game, do not spend your platinum on this. You get a certain amount of platinum to start, and I will show you what you should be buying with that platinum when we get to the store section. I do have information on the shop that I'm going to be talking about here. But do not spend your beginning platinum on an Orokin Reactor, especially for your very first Warframe. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Excalibur is really good. You're going to replace him eventually, because you're going to find something that's probably better. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll stick with Excalibur forever. A lot of people really like him. He's still a really good unit. There are better versions of him out there. I'm not going to talk about them, but he is a very good unit. And for what he does, base game, throughout mid game, end game, he can still be pretty powerful depending on how you build him. And how you build him is mostly based on your mods here. Okay, going back to the mods really quickly. If you don't know really what you're doing or how to slot your mods here, you should be getting these broken flawed mods, which are basically lower levels of mods that allow you to slot some slightly better things early here. But if you really don't know what you're doing, this is not something you should do late game, because late game you really should be paying attention to how you build things. But if you don't really know what you're doing, you can hit the auto install. And the auto install, what it'll do is it will take up all your capacity and it will slot these mods for you. And that's all it does. Again, I do not recommend doing this if you are mid to late game. In fact, even after you get out of the early game and you watch my video on mods, you should not be doing this, because this is not going to help you in any way. Because the game, as far as I know, it just slots mods randomly the way it thinks it'll work. Every Warframe is different. Every Warframe has different capacities. Every Warframe has different, polarities, which I talk about in my video. These are the different polarities here, and each one does different specific things. That's one of the most unique things about this game, is that every single one is different. And because every single one is different, just random rolling all of these mods on here, not all of them are going to work, and not all of them are going to fit for specific Warframes. In fact, I can think of a few off the top of my head that will not work if you just random roll them on. So do this in the early game because it will help you out. It will slot things like vitality, which is increasing your health, very important, or shield capacity, also very important. It will try to slot mods like that on there. It'll also slot things that might be important like continuity, which increases the duration of your stuff, or things like auger reach, which increases the ability range, which is also important. It also looks like it keeps wanting, if for some reason it keeps wanting to put this Mecha Empowered on here, which is dumb because Mecha Empowered only works if you have your pets equipped, and I don't think I'm going to talk about pets today. I think that's a different video entirely. Yeah, it's a different video entirely, but yeah, really quickly, I'll also talk about this mod up here. So this up here, this aura mod, increases the capacity instead of decreases. As you can see here, I have 37 instead of 30, and that is because of this aura mod. And aura mods are very important. But again, I talk about those in my video, and I think you should watch that one if you want to learn more about those. But yeah, that's basically it. In terms of these arcanes here, this is another video entirely because I want to talk about how you get them and how to specifically use them. But basically, this is, in my interpretation, these are basically 2 extra mods that you can slot here. Since you only have 2 slots, you really have to choose which ones you want here. Some of them are really good, some of them are meh, some of them are kind of bad in my opinion, but they all have a purpose, and you can only slot 2 of them on your Warframe at a time. So, not going to talk about those, but they're basically like super mods, or hyper mods, or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, that's basically how mods work. Again, just to reiterate, brand new player, hit auto install. It'll auto install what the game will auto install what it thinks will work best for you. Do not do that late game. You want to be paying attention to what you put on and how it works with your Warframe. You know, all stuff like that. The other thing I think you should pay attention to is the abilities. You are, again, as you progress through the game, you are going to get more Warframes, and every single Warframe will have very different abilities and that will do very, very different things. Excalibur, again, like I mentioned, is very easy. His number 1, slash through enemies, does damage, really cool. Number 2, blinds enemies, very cool. Number 3, range attack, throws enemies on the air, puts javelins through them, very gruesome, but also very cool. Number 4, Exalted Blade, basically is slash dash, but in a more permanent form. It consumes energy, and you get to run around with basically a Master Sword. It's actually pretty cool. I enjoy that quite a lot. But that's pretty much it. In terms of modding, I'll be talking about weapons here in just a moment, but first, I would like to talk about the shop, and how important the shop is, and how you don't get you screwed over in the shop. Okay, this is the shop. Very scary, and for new time members, they may even avoid it altogether, which I would recommend for the most part doing, but you do actually need to take a part in the shop in specific different ways. For a couple different reasons. Number 1, you can buy blueprints in here. Now, I haven't talked about blueprints really quickly, and I will more in a moment, but just know that it's important to come to the shop to buy things such as blueprints. There are other reasons you can come in here. Occasionally, they will have things that you can buy that just cost credits, and credits is the dominant currency in the game. This is how you buy literally everything unless it costs the special currency, which there are a lot of special currencies, but we're not going to talk about that today. All you need to know is credits, the dominant form of buying things in Warframe, and you should definitely make sure that you get as much as possible. In fact, if we go to the let's see here, popular, turn off these filters. So these filters, by the way, very important. You can use to hide items and hide mastered items, and that's very important if you don't want to see things that you've already bought. So, again, like I mentioned, there are reasons to use the shop, even if you are someone that doesn't intend to inject any money into this game. I think that you should still check out the shop for a couple reasons. Number 1, you're going to occasionally get things for free that you're going to want to buy. And by free, I mean they just cost credits here. Like these bunny ears here. These bunny ears here, it is almost Easter season. In fact, it's going to be Easter in a few days. These showed up like a couple days ago, and they just cost credits. So, you know, I can't buy it anymore, so it won't let me buy it anymore. But if you want bunny ears, cost 5,000 credits. 5,000 credits, that's a couple levels of work. Maybe even 1 level of work, depending on which one you do. Bam, there you go. Free credits, or free thing right there. You also get this ephemera here. This is basically just an extra little thing that you can use to customize your Warframe. These are all customizable things that you can buy here. Especially, though, if you're a new player, you want to be buying these color palettes here. When you start playing Warframe, you actually don't have any color palettes. You have one slot from one color palette, and then actually, I think I can show that here. Let me actually just show this here. Alright, so, when you start out the game, you actually don't get an entire color palette. You get the middle, I'm pretty sure it's the middle, it's been a while, but you only get the middle of the classic palette here. So you only get this palette here as an unlock. All of the other ones, they cost 75 each, which is fine. If you want to color your Warframe, you're probably going to have to spend a little bit of platinum to get different colors. But the classic here, you only get the middle. You have to pay for the other ones, and I believe it's also 75. It might be less depending, because you're only getting one color here, or one slot of colors here. But you don't get a lot of colors to start out with. So if you see something like that Easter one for credits, buy it, because bam, you can make your Excalibur pink. And you know what? If you want to make him pink, that's totally fine. I don't think he cares. But there you go. You've got a pink Excalibur there. So if you ever see palettes, whenever there's holidays, you can almost guarantee that there's going to be something like that. I don't think they do every holiday, but they do most of the prominent holidays that the world celebrates. They're going to have specials like color palettes or accessories. Like, just to show off really quickly how those accessories work, you want to go to attachments here. And let's see, that was a bunny ear, so I believe... Where would the bunny ears go? Actually, I think the bunny ears are... Now, these are basically the capes here. No, it's not on the capes. Where are the bunny ears? I've actually never put them on. Oh, does it not go on Excalibur? It might not. Auxiliaries. No, never mind. Okay, so these are auxiliaries here. So, if you want to equip the bunny ears, you'll want to be... once you buy your awesome bunny ears, because it's Easter time, you want to go to your attachments. Go to your auxiliary, and the auxiliary is an option that'll be on a couple of different Warframes. But I'm guessing it's going to be on all Warframes now because of these bunny ears. And you can just put on these bunny ears. They're a little bit floppy in my opinion. A little bit weird. But it's perfect. I'm not going to go through all of the fashion stuff right now. That's another video entirely. But if you want to equip your new bunny ears, that's how you do it. Alright, back to the shop. There is actually a couple of different things that I recommend that you get as a starter Warframe player. Let me go to... I'm trying to remember where it is. I believe it is in miscellaneous. It might... No. So let me actually search this. Start. There is Warframe slot. Warframe. Oh, you know what? Get out of that. Hey everyone, Mom here to cut into the video real quick. Unfortunately, the bundle that I was trying to show off to tell you to buy with your platinum was retired at the beginning of the year, so unfortunately you cannot buy it anymore. Instead, what I'm going to recommend to you is to buy either 2 Warframe slots or a Warframe and some weapon slots so that it's a lot easier for you to get started in the game and not have to worry about rationing your space for either Warframe or weapons. Really, unfortunately, they decided to retire this bundle here, but it's whatever. So, yeah, just buy either 2 Warframes or a Warframe and some weapon slots, and that's all you should really spend your beginning platinum on. Alright, back to the video. Anyway, besides that, the other thing that you're going to want to pay attention to as a starter player in the shop is weapons. So I mentioned earlier that the shop is where you get weapons. This isn't the only place that you can get weapons, but this is where, as a new player, you're going to want to pay attention to getting weapons here. There are a lot of different weapons in the game. Let's sort by primary weapons just to start here. It's going to show me stuff I don't have first. But the weapons come in many different shapes and sizes, and some of them you can earn through various ways. But let's pick something that you are going to see here. The Burstin. This is a good weapon. This is a good beginner's weapon. This would probably replace your Bratton. So all weapons you can buy with platinum. But as I said, you're not going to be spending your platinum on other things besides weapon slots and Warframe slots in the beginning. Instead, what you can do is buy them with blueprints. Excuse me. Thank you, Ortis. Now, blueprints here, this is one of the big things in the game that you should have learned when you did the Vor's Prize or the Awakening quest. But basically, blueprints are what makes this game have a big crafting component in it. It's like the game, half of the game, excuse me, a third of the game is actually playing, another third is crafting, and then the other third is whatever else you decide to do. excuse me. But basically, you are going to want to buy blueprints in the shop. Now, you can hold an unlimited amount of blueprints. The only thing that's going to stop you is your credit amount. And I would honestly recommend not buying too many blueprints because they are kind of expensive for new players to buy. And you're going to want to, just not buy a lot of blueprints. So here's what I would recommend as a new player. Find a primary weapon that you can buy. Apparently, you can't get that one. Never mind. But this one. So find a weapon that looks cool, and you can read all about it. The damage and all this stuff, this is something that you shouldn't worry too much as a new player, but as you get throughout the game, and when you pay more attention to modding, this stuff is going to be more important. But find a cool primary or secondary that you want to build. Check out the build requirements. It will also require you to be a certain mastery rank, which I will also talk about. Actually, I'll talk about that after this, but... you want to pay attention to the mastery rank, and then you want to see what parts it costs, and then just start getting the parts for it. If you don't know where you can find specific parts for weapons, you can check online for them. The Warframe wiki is very useful in terms of looking for different parts. Be very careful though, because you can stumble across story spoilers. But, it's very easy to find, you can't actually get the pattern for that. Let's see, let me go back to the Boltor. For the Boltor. It says you need credits. Alright, you know where to get credits. Neurodes, you'll get those by playing on Earth. Alloy plates, you'll find those by playing on Earth. Salvage, you'll find that by playing on Earth or Venus. And polymer bundles, Earth or Venus. I'm gonna say probably just Venus, though. That's how you get stuff. And so just play the game. And if you need to know where specific resources are, you can look up on the internet. But again, do be careful, because if you really care about the story, and I do think you should, you want to avoid spoilers. Just be very narrowed in how you're looking for things. The shop isn't honestly the only place you can buy weapon blueprints from. If we go back over to our modding station here and go to... Let's go to the secondary weapons here. Let's see here. So if you go to a weapon you don't own here, let's go to this one right here. I was actually looking at this earlier for the video. Go to this here. You can actually purchase blueprints, or if they just cost credits, you can buy them like this. Oh, I'm actually out of inventory slots. So there we go. I have to spend platinum to get more inventory slots. I'm gonna have to sell some later. But if you don't have the weapon, let me actually go to a different one that only gives you... So this one costs 190 platinum. Don't spend your platinum on that. Instead, look at the blueprint requirements, and you can do that by... you can do that in here as opposed to going to the shop. A little bit less confusing than the shop, in my opinion, so I would honestly recommend that as opposed to going into the shop. It's also a little bit more lazy, you don't have to go to the shop then come back here. You can just come over here, say, excuse me, what's an early one that the Furus here. The Furus here, very nice early weapon that I recommend that you should get. It is a really decent, I kind of think it's I feel like it's a submachine gun, but you can come over to here, look at the build requirements, buy it, and then you can go to the crafter and craft it later on. Same thing with your melee here. Oh, do I have regular bow? So you can just buy all this and then build it. Bam, there you go. And that's it. Now, when it comes to mods work exactly the same way as they do for Excalibur or for Warframes. Like I mentioned here, you've got all of this stuff here. Same with the Bratton, or with all of the weapons. The only difference is there's no aura mods that will increase the cost, so you do only have a maximum of 60 capacity when you insert the catalysts here. Again, don't buy those with platinum, but if you get them, you can increase it to 60. So I do recommend just hitting auto install for a beginning. If you're a beginning player, just, again, hit auto install, let the game choose stuff for you. Because I have higher cost mods, it's going to choose only 2 for me, but it's going to choose cheap stuff to put on that it thinks will do the most damage for you. Bada bing, bada boom, you've got a starter thing going, and there you go. But yeah, that's pretty much weapons and getting weapons out of the way. So now let's talk about mastery rank. In order to talk about mastery rank, I'm actually going to have to go to a relay, which I will not be talking about in this video, but I'll explain real quickly. Let me explain real quickly what mastery rank is. I actually can't show my profile because that has story spoilers in it, but Your mastery rank is what allows you to grow as a player. So you've got your Warframe level, which caps out at 30. Same with your weapons, except for certain weapons, and all of the other all items that you can level up in the game cap out at 30, except for specific ones. Your mastery rank, which also caps out at 30, and then there's some extra ranks after that, is something that you will increase over time as you play the game. Now, how you increase it is by getting and leveling up Warframes, getting and leveling up weapons, and getting and leveling up anything else that can require level up. Warframes give a certain amount of experience, same with weapons and everything else that you get in the game. And as you go through it, you're going to level up this bar here until it says that you can take a mastery rank test. So I'm actually going to go to a relay and show off what a mastery rank test will look like so that you know what to expect. Alright, I'm over here in the relay. Again, I'm not going to show off a lot about it because it does have some story spoilers later on. But you are going to encounter these challenges here. You don't actually need to go to a relay in order to get to them. It will be something that will display in your screen. Now, it won't display for me because I've already completed the mastery rank test for my current rank, which is 19. You are going to get something here that says mastery rank test available. When you click on that, it should... oh, this one requires a weapon of every type. Hold on a moment. Personal. Let me equip a weapon. Where is my bow? Oh, prime. We're going to put that on for simplicity. Alright. I want to actually show you the menu. So it'll say, do you want to practice or do you just want to start? The first... Well, this is the first test here. I'm not really going to talk about how to complete it because you should complete it on your own. But it's pretty easy. You're just defeating enemies here. Your goal with the master rank test is to complete all of the objectives. If you do not complete all of the objectives, you actually fail and will have to wait 24 hours in order to do the next one. So these master rank tests are timed. You only can have one every 24 hours. So like if you rank up to rank 2 to then 3, you have to wait 24 hours to do the next one here. And that is important because you can only do one every 24 hours. So if you fail one, you have to wait 24 hours as well. Very important thing to note. Just to know. So my recommendation, if you are beginning in the game, you should practice every single mastery rank test. The first couple are very easy, but if you are still getting used to the gameplay, the gunplay, all of that stuff, my recommendation, you need to practice every single test. You have unlimited practice on every single test, so you don't actually have to worry about failing the practice tests, which is very useful in my opinion. And when you feel like you're confident with them, you can go ahead and start the actual test. As you can see, I had this actual test here. Again, very easy as a beginning test. My most recent one, which was a rank 19 one, it took me a couple of days to actually get past because it was very difficult. But as you can see here, very easy. And you're most likely, unless you're not very good with gunplay, gonna get through this test very easily. In fact, if you don't get through this test on your first try, you can let me know in the comments, and I will sympathize with you. But that's basically mastery rank tests. So once you complete them, leveling up your mastery rank will allow you to craft different specific weapons. Like once you become mastery rank 2, it'll show you, the weapons will show you which mastery ranks they require. Just as a note, once you reach mastery rank 16, you really don't need to worry about ranking it up anymore. After reaching 16, the only reason you level it up past that is so that you can have different trade capacities, because there is trading in this game, very important. I've made another video on trading, but after you hit 16, that is the only reason to continue leveling up your mastery rank is trading. There's also a couple other things, but we're not going to talk about those in this video. But that's pretty much mastery rank tests, and they're very fun, very easy. Again, rank 1 through 10, all of them are pretty easy. And if you're playing the game and you're getting the mechanics and you're learning how to slap mods, you're going to be fine. Just remember that you have unlimited practice for every single one, and it is of my opinion that even if you think you're smart at this game, you should practice the test until you master it. And then maybe even after that, depending on your confidence level. That's pretty much it for master rank tests. Now, really quickly, the last thing I wanted to go over with today is a little bit of a long video, But again, there's different chapters if you wanted to skip through. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is other Warframes and how to get other Warframes. Because you probably really enjoy Excalibur, especially if you've got these bunny ears here. If you didn't, kind of sucks, but Excalibur is really fun. But what if you want another Warframe that does different things? Well, I'm going to show you how to get different Warframes. So, different Warframes comes in all shapes and sizes, and the way to get them comes in all shapes and sizes as well. For the most common way that you are going to encounter different Warframes is by beating bosses on specific worlds. The most common one that you are going to come across is on Venus. Venus, in my opinion, has the most common boss in the game that you're going to encounter, and that is the guy in the Fossa assassination. His name is Jackal. Now, Jackal is a bit of a hard boss. I've actually made a video on how to defeat him before. I'm going to defeat him again, but in order to do so, I am actually going to change my loadout a little bit here. Actually, no. I'll stick with my current loadout here, and we'll see how we do. Am I on public? I am on public. Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit painful, because, excuse me, if you're a starting player, this guy kind of sucks. And especially if you don't have your things modded, this guy kind of sucks. So, if you're getting mods, you should definitely consider modding your stuff so that you can not die.
Power and authority, the Corpus have continued to refine their most.
So the boss here, he kind of sucks. I do have a pet, thankfully. I'm not going to explain how pets work in this video, but the pet's going to be a little bit helpful, in my opinion, from dragging away some of the firefight that he's going to bring me. And we're just going to jump all the way over to the boss here. Now, every single assassination mission is different. They all have different mechanics, some good, some bad, in my opinion. This guy kind of sucks for new players, but it's fine. Thankfully, you'll have other people. Hopefully, you'll have other people that'll be playing with you. If not, my recommendation is wait till you see on the screen that there are more people attempting this boss. You can actually see that because under the level, it will show you that there are people attempting the boss, of different squads that are attempting it. But basically, once you see that, you're going to want to join in the level. Or you can attempt it yourself. If you want to play it by yourself and, you know, try your luck against the boss, go right ahead. I think that if you can do it on your own, you're probably a better player than I was when I was a brand new player. Because when I was a brand new player, I sucked at this guy. But basically, I guess I'll show this off. Since this is your first boss, I'll talk you through it. In order to defeat this guy here, I'm kind of just talking while playing here. You're going to want to take out one of his legs. The HP bars on each of the legs are displayed, as with every other enemy here. You can choose any leg. It doesn't really matter, in my personal opinion. I believe that once you take out one leg, you can't take out the same one again. Once you take out a leg, he's going to jump up in the sky and do this maneuver here, where he's going to try and kill you with death lasers. These things do hurt. You don't want to get hit by them. Because if you do get... You can run through the blue particles as it's prepping, but you cannot get hit by the red lasers there. Because if you get hit, you'll take a lot of damage. And what you can see here is when he is down, you can use your Parazon ability. Parazon ability is what allows you to do damage to this boss. Not every single boss is like that, but a couple of different bosses are like that, where you actually have to use your Parazon in order to... Oh man, he might murder me. Yeah, he murdered me. That's okay though, because you do have 4 free revives, and you may or may not have learned about that already, but you get 4 free revives. Again, as a new player, you're probably going to be using those because, you know, this guy kind of sucks on your own. And if you're just starting out, you're probably gonna have some issues. Again, maybe you're better than I am, maybe you're not, but I had issues with this boss when I first started playing, and he wrecked me quite a few times, and I had to get some friends in here to help me out. He might murder me again. Holy cow. See, as I said here, you have to aim for the legs that you haven't broken yet. And the only ones that are left over are his back legs here. As you can see, he's afflicting an electricity debuff on me. I'm trying to use my abilities here. That's not actually working out that well. Man, this is... See, this wouldn't be that much of a... Ow. That wouldn't be much of a problem if I had any of my other Warframes would definitely wreck this man way faster. There we go. We got his third leg down. But yeah, as a new player, this is going to be the most common boss you're going to come across. Has 4 phases here, as you can see here, or 4 HP bars, I guess I should say. Once you get done with that, you are going to get a part of a Warframe. Now, like I mentioned before, there are different Warframes that you can equip, and in order to get them, you have to craft them. Again, crafting is a major component of the game, and so because of that, you get a piece of the Warframe. Can I get your leg? No, he's gonna make me wait. You're gonna make me wait. There we go. We got the last one. Perfect. So when you complete a boss, you get a piece to a Warframe. The Warframe in this area is called Rhino. He's a pretty tanky guy. He's a pretty good one. If you enjoy survival, Rhino's a pretty good one to pick up as your first like crafted Warframe. So let's go ahead and finish you off, sir. Little mild embarrassment for that. I apologize, but I guess it's kind of you know, if you're a new player, this is probably the experience you're gonna have to deal with here. But he's not that bad, thankfully. Jackal, once you know how he works, he's not that bad. But after you defeat him, you will get 1 piece to a Warframe here that you will have to craft. I got ahead and got the Rhino. Ooh, that's a weapon I don't have. I got the Rhino chassis blueprint. You have to get 3 different blueprints in order to craft the main blueprint here. I'll show you that actually in the shop here in just a moment. But yeah, basically you got to run the boss till you get all 3 parts. There is the head, the chest, and the innards. And once you get all 3 of them, you can craft them. Oh, am I getting... Oh, yeah, that's funny. So let's go ahead into the Warframes here. And I will show you how this works. Let's just scroll down. Actually, we'll search Rhino. So Rhino is the base heavy boy Warframe. He's very hard to kill. All of his abilities are based around survival. Now, you will get the main blueprint from the shop. Some blueprints will not come from the shop. Some of them require you to complete quests. And I'm not going to talk about those, but those are very important things there. But most of them will come from doing the bosses and then buying the blueprints from the shop here. So you can buy the blueprint from the shop. As you can see, we need the optics, chassis, and systems. All of those come from the Jackal boss. So basically, refight Jackal until you have all 3 parts. Then when you get all 3 parts, craft them. Then when you get all 3 of those, craft the main blueprint. The 3 parts to craft him take 12 hours to craft, and the main blueprint will take 3 days to craft. And it's a little bit long. Some people may not enjoy that, but you can use platinum to speed it up if you don't want to wait. My recommendation, wait, because you don't want to spend platinum to speed up something like that. But that's pretty much it for Warframes. Not all Warframes. A good portion of Warframes come from doing things like these assassination missions. There is an assassination mission on almost every single destination, I believe, except for a few, and I'm not going to point out specific ones because they could be spoilers. But every single area here, for the most part, will have a boss. Sometimes they may have 2 that you can beat, and you will get a Warframe piece for them. Again, except for one Warframe, the system basically is as follows. Get all 3 basic parts, buy the blueprint in the shop, then you can build the Warframe. That's pretty much it. The assassination mission Warframes that come at basically the end of every single planet, those are the easiest ones that you can craft, and they are the easiest ones to obtain. And those are the ones that I would honestly recommend going for first, because they're the ones that are the easiest to get your hands on. And for the most part, they're the cheapest to build. There are some that are going to be way more expensive in terms of building the parts. Let me actually see if I can find one. Let me see if I can find a Warframe. So, let's see here. Well, Frost is not a later Warframe. Frost is actually a more early game one, but he requires a lot more stuff, as you can see here. Plastids, which you haven't even seen yet, but it just requires you to play the game. Harrow, he requires a lot of stuff. You got things like these argon crystals, which I haven't talked about, but I've made videos on how to find them. I've made shorts on how to find them, actually. There's a lot of things in this game that just require you to play the game. And a lot of Warframes, you just have to play the game. I haven't even touched on Prime Warframes, but that's for another video. But that's pretty much it. For a brand new player, this has been my guide for how to play Warframe. I think it did pretty decently. Just to do a quick breakdown once again for what we touched on today. Story, very important. Go through the story and all of the star nodes. Complete every single junction. They will lead you on how to get to the next planet. Mods are very important. You want to, if you are not wanting to learn how they work in the very early game, you can go ahead and do a quick select using the auto mod select, and it will do that for you. But my recommendation is to learn mods so that you can go ahead and know how they work for different Warframes, because again, every Warframe will take something different. Do not waste your money in the shop. Know exactly where the value is in the shop. Do not spend your platinum on anything, especially the starter platinum, until you are very smart about those choices. Otherwise, you're just going to unfortunately waste it, and I've seen some people waste it, and it sucks. So be very smart with your platinum usage in the beginning of the game. Weapons are very important. You get 3 different weapons, and you can buy blueprints for them either in the shop or in the modding station over there. Excuse me, the customization station. You can also get, and the last bit, you can get Warframes by doing basically everything in the game can get you a Warframe if you do it long enough. Going through the star system, you'll get a Warframe at the end of basically every planet for beating the assassination mission. Doing other stuff will get you Warframes, and you can buy the blueprints either from the shop or through completing quests. That's pretty much it, though, I think. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments what you thought of the video, if you found it helpful. Again, if you are a brand new Warframe player, consider watching this video. Or if you are a returning player, or if you're someone who already knows everything about the game and you just wanted to watch this video to support me, which I very much appreciate, go ahead and send the video to someone else who may or may not need it, because they could find it helpful, and it may help them so they don't feel so lost. But anyway, my name is Occo. This is Excalibur the Bunny. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, leave a like or sub to the video for more stuff like this in the future. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!